Coming up on the Empowered Woman podcast.
Threat scanning mode, threat circuitries triggered. We're probably going to say things against each other, behind each other's back, might even backstab, gossip, who knows? We can't operate at our best no matter what the unit is and the community is without a foundation of trust. So our gift to the world is let's build high trust, high performing environments, but it starts and ends with trust.
Welcome to the Empowered Woman podcast, the #1 show on visibility strategies for women entrepreneurs. If you want to get empowered to be seen, stand out on social media, stages, TV, and more to make an impact with your voice and business, you're in the right place. I'm so glad that you're here. My name is Marcia Spurk, and I'm your host, professional singer and visibility strategist. Welcome again, and let's dive into today's episode. Ever thought about investing in the stock market but don't know where to start? Introducing Market Minds by Market Start, the all-new platform designed to make stock market investing simple, fast, and profitable. So why wait? Start your journey to financial success today. Visit themarketstart.com and take control of your future. Hi, Alex. Thank you so much for joining me today.
Hey, Mara. Thanks for having me.
Yes, of course. I'm super excited to learn more about what you got going on and how you've been helping people. So tell us who you are and what you do.
I'm Alex, founder and CEO of a company called DX. As you can tell from the south side of Chicago, moved here in 2005 from the UK. I was a school teacher before that and got into adult education because I was kind of kicked out of school and said, look, you crave too much autonomy. This is not a good place for you. You have too much fun. So that didn't work out, but adult education did, which got me to America and started DX in 2015 with the whole point of wiping out workplace toxicity and leading the people first movement. And here we are today.
Oh my goodness, what a journey. And I definitely resonate with being an immigrant and starting something completely new and understanding that working for other people is just not a fit for me. So tell us more. Now, we want to hear the behind the scenes. This is my favorite part because you already said it. You didn't come out the womb doing what you're doing. It wasn't an overnight thing, several different twists and turns in the path. So how did you get to the point where you're like, this is the business, this is what I'm starting, and I'm going for it?
Yeah, it's a good question. I believe our parenting, our upbringing, and our experiences sort of mold the values that got me to where I am today. I think some of the key drivers that got me to start DX was number one, growing up in a household where people first wasn't part of the upbringing. And that also led to my first boss not being the best boss in the world. I think those two experiences of being on the receiving end of not being people first and the impact that that had on me personally really led me to want to build a business around, well, how do we create environments, both at home and at work, where people can thrive? So I got the opposite and wanted to do something about it. So that's really where the passion and purpose came from. And then just one thing led to another. And 10 years ago, it began. I remember walking down the street and telling my soon-to-be wife, I'm like, you know what? I've had enough. I've listened to enough people saying that they're in pain in work. And while I'm doing really well in my current environment, I feel like I got to do something about it. And she's like, you got to do what you got to do. Good luck. I'm like, ah. And 10 years later, here we are. So I managed to survive 10 years. We got that going for me. But that's where it all began.
That's amazing. So what is behind the name? And tell us more how you exactly guide people. How does this work?
So DX, one of the toughest parts of starting a business, I don't know if any of you can relate, was actually finding a name.
Right.
So in my industry, every single name you can ever think of around the word leadership and around the word experiences and experiential learnings, all been taken, all been trademarked. So I'm like, oh, what's going to happen? So one night I had a few too many glasses of whiskey, and I remember one of those negative impacts on me was my Latin teacher. I was just soul searching for people who have had an impact on me that's led me to build the company. And my Latin teacher was one of them. We used to call him Grotto. He was a horrible human being, terrible teacher, made me cry a lot. But I'm like, Latin. Oh, what's Latin for leadership experience? It's Dusibus Experientia.
Ooh.
DX was born.
Wow. So it has a Latin base. I didn't expect that twist. That is so cool. I love it. So how do you help and support teams, high performing people to have that mentality of people first and create those non-toxic environments?
I hope you agree, and let me know if you don't, and anyone listening, that for a team to thrive, whether it's a family unit, I'm a coach, I coach soccer, so a soccer coaching unit, or a workplace team as an entrepreneur, your team, the foundation of it for me is trust. I truly believe nothing good happens anywhere without a foundation of trust. Because if there's no trust or little trust or not where trust needs to be, then what are we doing? Our brains are in threat scanning mode, threat circuitry is triggered. We're probably going to say things against each other, behind each other's backs, might even backstab, gossip, who knows? But we can't operate at our best, no matter what the unit is and the community is, without a foundation of trust. So our gift to the world is, well, let's build high trust, high performing environments, but it starts and ends with trust.
I love that. So who are your ideal clients and companies that you work with? Is there a specific industry or how?
Yeah, we don't say no, put it that way. So when someone comes in and says, look, I'm struggling, the culture's not where we want it to be. We have these values, but we're still losing people that we don't want to lose. I know that there's something missing and I just don't know what it is. If someone comes to me with what I call being problem aware around their culture and wanting to move the needle, then we're going to say yes to nearly everybody. We go hunting because at the end of the day, if I don't hunt, we don't eat, and if we don't eat, I can't pay my salaries and pay for the education for my kids. So we go hunting locally here in the Midwest. Companies between 500 and a couple of thousand employees with a CEO or entrepreneur who just understands that for me to create the business that I need people. I need people operating at their best, because if I have people operating at their best, they trust each other, they're going to look after my customers. And I think we all agree as entrepreneurs and business owners that we can't do much without customers. Right. And I hope you agree that your customers can never be sustainably as happy as your internal customers, your people. Right. And if you have actively disengaged people or trust issues internally, it's going to affect your customers at some point. So we've got to look after ourselves so that we can look after our customers.
I love that. And do you typically work like for a set of months and training? So you mentioned the adult learning. Is it like workshops that you do with teams, or you do personality assessments? How does the process work?
Good question. So our platform is called Care to Win. Win, of course, is we're all trying to win at something as entrepreneurs. Like I'm trying to win at growing my market share here in the Midwest. And therefore, to win, I hope we all agree, whatever you're trying to win at, if you disagree that it's the people that's the most important part to winning, then that's a problem. So winning is something, but you need people, you need your team to probably be thinking differently, doing something differently, behaving differently. So the care pieces are sort of research and methodology for how we build high trust, high performing environments is, well, it's not the cuddly type of care, so we're not going to have a hug here, although I'm a hugger, but C stands for clarity, A stands for autonomy, R stands for relationships, and E stands for equity. Probably the most taboo word in the world right now, but let's not go down that path. E in its beautiful and innocence is just adapting to the unique needs of the people. But if you think about this, so clarity, how can I trust you if you don't give me the clarity that I need in order to perform at my best? Because if you don't give me clarity, if we're not clear about expectations, we're not aligned, you're not being transparent with me, we're not on the same line of the same page of the same book, then the threat circuitry in my brain's going to be triggered, and then I'm not going to trust you. And what's interesting when it comes to the dimensions of care is, again, from a gender point of view, a generational point of view, a cultural point of view, clarity can mean one thing to one person, one thing to another person. So trying to engage with each other. Take my wife. She has a high crave for clarity. I'm an entrepreneur. I have an extremely low crave for clarity. I don't need much for my brain to be in performance mode.
Right.
But if I communicate to my wife how I prefer and how I see the world, trust goes down and she's not going to lean into me. And I always find this fascinating when it comes to gender. As the more research that we do, I'm curious and starting to learn about it. The most effective part of what we can do to better engage and trust others, build trust, is to meet them where they are at.
Mm-hmm.
So if I'm trying to communicate clarity and I communicate too much, like I do, I give you a 10-page document when all you wanted was a single sentence, that erodes trust. That means I'm going to lean away versus lean in. Same with autonomy. So autonomy is about who's in control. Again, if you don't give me the right levels of autonomy and I feel you're trying to control me, or give me too much, my brain threat circuitry is triggered, I'm not going to trust you. So it's the right levels of autonomy. I love to give autonomy, probably too much. And some people need a little bit less autonomy, like boxers. Some people like their shoelaces being tied, some don't. So again, if you get it wrong, you don't meet people where they are at, then they're not going to trust you. And then relationships, of course, is that notion of I'm valued for who I am. You know my values and what motivates me and my strengths. Because if you don't, I'm going to start to question your motives. Threat circuitry is triggered. I'm not going to trust you. And the last one, equity, is our definition of equity, just for all the issues that we're going through right now, is just simply adapting to the unique needs of every person. And because if you don't adapt to the unique needs of what makes you unique, Mara, is not what makes me unique. So if I try and treat you how I want to be treated, you're going to go, no, 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 no. I have to treat you how you want to be treated and adapt to you. So that's how we build trust. And that's sort of our Care to Win platform.
Hey, let me ask you a question. Would you like to be my next guest on the Empowered Woman podcast? Do you have a story you'd like to share? Want more visibility for your business on a show ranked in the top 0.5% in the world? Well, then head on over to martasburke.com/podcast guest for more information. Yeah. Ooh, I love that framework. I love the acronym first and foremost because it has everything to do with people first, like what you were mentioning, but it's just so clear how it encompasses all relationships. So I love that you keep bringing back personal relationships, because the way we do one thing is the way we do everything, right? So if you're concerned about company culture and all of that, or just interaction with clients, really, it has everything to do with what we're doing outside of work as well and in our personal lives, which kind of answers my next question. I was going to ask you, the majority of my listeners are solopreneurs, so they don't have a huge company with lots of team members. However, this still applies. And that's why I love that you outlined the framework, right? So this is something that people could still access and learn from. And I know you have a book that they could look into.
Yes. And just to continue that dialogue for a second, right? If you're a solopreneur, so I always say leadership, you can lead from whatever seat that you're in. Whether I was a solopreneur, still got a small team, but you still have customers, you still have suppliers, you still have stakeholders, you still have people that you're communicating with every single day. So just think about, when it comes to communication, and trust, there's no net neutral. You either build trust or erode trust in every conversation, every email you send, every text message, every time that you have a meeting with a customer or a team member or a supplier or the bank manager. You're essentially building trust or eroding trust. And therefore, care is just a simple mindset for us all to think, okay, in this email I'm about to send to this VP of a customer who happens to be male, let me get inside their brain for a second. How much clarity do I need to provide in order for them to trust me? How much autonomy should I give more or steal more? Relationship, do I even know what motivates them? Have I got to know what their values are? Do they care? And am I being equitable? So just as a framework for communication, whether you're a solopreneur, small business, you can use this in every communication. Just remember, you're either building trust or eroding trust in every communication with another human being, regardless of who they are, gender, age, etc. So definitely can be used. Care to Win, the book, check it out on Amazon. Just It goes into the science of communication. So clarity, there's 188 biases in the brain. Most of us have no idea what those biases are. For example, as a solopreneur, you probably started your business because you're really technically gifted at what you do and you love what you do. I love what I do. My brain's basically telling me, because it's a survival machine, to do things the quickest and easiest way and to make assumptions. And when we're making assumptions, it's bad. It's good for you because it's preserving you time and energy, but it's bad for the person you're communicating with. One of those biases is called the curse of knowledge bias. The more technically gifted you are at something, the more that your brain's telling you that everyone else has the same level of understanding. So an acronym to you or something that means something to you might mean absolutely nothing to the person you're communicating with, but you unknowingly assume that they know what you know. No one knows what you know. So just there's lots of 188 biases. So the book goes into a lot of these biases: the law of least efforts, proximity bias, framing effects, fundamental attribution error, just these little tweaks to our brain that are natural wirings for us. But if you can just be more aware about how this thing on top of our body actually is a trust destroyer, if you don't cater for it and combat its natural wiring system. So book it's fun. It's just a cool way to refine how you communicate with others.
Yeah. Oh my gosh, that's so fascinating. The whole concept of, because when we're looking into sales, especially, right, as entrepreneurs, we're thinking, is my messaging clear? So there's the clarity piece there. But what I love about your whole framework is the concept of trust. Is what I'm doing building trust or eroding trust with anything, whether it be with a social media post, like what you're saying, sending out an email, taking that step back and considering this to begin with can be so helpful, because sometimes we're on the go, just, going through the motions. And if we take some time to actually consider the person on the other side, lots of amazing things can happen. And I love that you have very in-depth information on that in your book. So I'll make sure and link that in the show notes as well, because it can be a valuable resource for our listeners. And I know you have some resources that go with the book as well on your website for people wanting to check out more about the framework and stuff.
Yeah, so the book itself is almost like a little working document. It's exercises in it, to-dos in it. The book website has little tools of how to provide clarity, how to give autonomy, how to build relationships. There's even a little assessment in the back of the book to see how well you're doing it. There's videos. There's also a repository of just all the how-tos. I think the first part is, do you care? No, it's okay. That's cool. But if you do, great. Well, how do I care? There's one thing, having the mindset for, I just think about this as basic empathy and inclusion. I care about the person I'm communicating with, and I want to have empathy for how I'm communicating with them. So if that's your, yes, I want to do that, then the book is more of the awareness building about what gets in our way. And then the book website and some of our tools that we got out online are more of the, well, how do I do that? How do I do a one-on-one, a QBR meeting with a client? Or how do I provide the best clarity I can in an email? If I'm doing like you said, a social post, what are some things I should be considering? So a lot of the how is in the repository and on the website itself.
Oh, I love that you have specific exercises and guide people through that, because just the reflection piece is super helpful, but guiding them through the process, things that they can do, and just learn to always take the time to do before. And that is super helpful as well. So people will definitely have to check out the book and also the resources that you have on the website. I love that. So what's next for DX Learning? Now that you have the book out, do you have any other plans? What's coming up?
Well, number one, survive the next 4 years. When your business is all around the people first movement, and we have a saying here, the culture of a team is a mirror of its leader. So really right now, the culture of America is a culture of its leader. I wouldn't say we're in a people first movement right now. So just getting through the next 4 years is really important for us, and finding those that are willing and able and wanting to go against the grain and do what's right for their people. So that's nothing's changed for us. We're going to lead the people first movement. There's ups and downs, as you know, in a business. You have cycles of being bankrupt nearly 4 times now, and it's been a hell of a journey over the last 10 years. So we celebrated our 10-year anniversary. It will be April this year. So that was 10 years of maturing. I'm just super pumped about the next 10 years and just setting ourselves up for the next 10 years. And that's really what's next. Next book will come out called The Care Equation.
Ooh.
About the science and the impact of care from stories like, by demonstrating care and putting people first, you will win. So I want to put the impact, right? It sounds cuddly. It sounds cuddly. It's not, right? When you really care for your people, they pay back and you make more money and everyone wins. So that's next. We've created a cultural diagnostic. So we're going heavy into assessment work. It's important for me to understand where as a leader, what I'm strong at and what I'm not so strong at. So creating a 360 and a cultural diagnostic for people to go, well, where am I? What do I need to, what's working? Am I good at providing clarity? Am I not good at providing clarity? How would I know? So helping leaders on an individual basis understand where they currently are and where they need to go next to improve and better care for those that they serve.
That's amazing. Well, congratulations first and foremost on the 10 years, because we all know that's not an easy feat. And thank you for sharing vulnerably that it hasn't been smooth sailing because it hardly ever is. And now looking forward to continuing on and having another book in the works. That's awesome stuff. I love that. Well, before I have you share with people how can they connect with you and where do you hang out the most, I like asking all of my guests my $1 million question. Are you ready? So typically I ask, what is an empowered woman? Because it's the title of the show. But when I interview my guys, I ask, what is an empowered human then?
Yeah. Good question. For me, an empowered human, or I'd try and answer the question on behalf of the women and ladies in the audience, would be just the stop, think, and be curious about the person you're communicating to. If you're communicating to a guy, I hope care is a way in which you can get inside their head so that, again, it's about influence, power and influence, right? Yeah. We're all trying to communicate and influence others. If the person on the opposite side of your seat that you're communicating with is not you, because let's face it, most of them aren't, different gender, different race, different generation, different country. My wife's Polish. So just the ability to communicate. So just an empowered human is someone who stops, thinks, and gets curious about the person that they're talking to and try and meet them where they are. Remember, the golden rule of treat people how you want to be treated is wrong. It's the platinum rule. Just treat them how they want to be treated. You might not agree or align with how they want to be treated, but if you want to have influence and trust, then, get inside their head. Some of us, generationally speaking, I don't need much clarity. So if you're communicating with me, then you might have to provide me less clarity than you're comfortable with, or give me less autonomy. So just meet people where they're at would be an empowered human being.
That's so good. The platinum rule. I never heard that before. That's fun. I love it. It's so true. Treat them how they want to be treated. And for that, you need to be able to stop and get to know them, which is what the care framework is all about. Well, this was so fun. Thank you so much for sharing your heart with us. Really, that was really awesome, which is, the mission behind the company and everything that you're doing. How can people connect with you?
Easiest way is LinkedIn. I post every day. I try ruffle feathers and say what needs to be said, because most of us aren't. But anyway, so LinkedIn, Alex Draper at DX Learning. The book is on Amazon, so that's easy. Care to Win, Alex Draper. And if you're curious about what we do, it's dx-learning.com.
Awesome. Make sure and have all the links in the show notes. Thank you so much for sharing with us. This was great.
Oh, thanks for having me, and I appreciate the conversation.
Thanks so much for tuning in today. I hope this episode empowered you. And if you enjoyed the show, please join the Empowered Woman community on Facebook and share with friends, or leave a review on iTunes so more people can discover this empowering message. Until next time, bye.